regardless of if Kyrie's got a lot going on upstairs in his heart, in his personal life, and regardless how well Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving play on the court together, the Brooklyn Nets are not winning the title this year. Like, I think this year, despite the fact that the league is more balanced, quote unquote, and has more parity than it's had in years past, this NBA season is predictably easy to pick who is going to win the title. And it's the Los Angeles Lakers. The Clippers have shown us who they are. Like, we keep waiting for the Clippers to magically morph into something that they're not. They've shown us who they are. George Paul can go out there and light up the scoreboard every single night. He could average 40 during a 30-game stretch. Guess what? We know, because history has shown us what he's going to do come playoff time. Now, can he rewrite that narrative? Sure. Can he have a great postseason this year? Sure. But that doesn't mean we get to forget about the body of work that he's produced and showed to us already. So with that being said, Kyrie Irving and the Nets aren't in trouble because Kyrie's quote unquote MIA. They're in trouble because if by some odd stretch of the imagination, and I want you to really imagine this because this is the closest they're going to get to the finals. If by some odd stretch of the imagination, the Brooklyn Nets happen to make it to the NBA Finals, guess who's going to be waiting for them across the other side of the ledger? It's a 6'8", 250 locomotive named Goat James. And guess who's going to be riding his flank? It's a 6'11", maybe even 7 foot, depending on what shoes he's wearing. Big man in Anthony Davis, who could handle the guard like a ball, who could handle the ball like a guard and shoot from the perimeter and guard all 5 positions and play pick and roll. They're not beating the Lakers, period, point blank. So you're going to be wrong, Mr. Falco. And I want you to keep this same energy that you have right now, because I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Number one, how many times did I tell you that the Nets were going to have a slow start, which I predicted 8-7? Come on, did I? Yes or no? Did I? Yes or no? Just be honest. Did I?
You did say they were going to start 8-7. What did you do?
Thank you. Which is actually kind of on. They're 5-6 right now, but I still believe they're technically on pace to do that. I think they could win 3 of the next 4. With that being said, my new favorite quote now is the famous quote from Once Upon a Time, Aaron Rodgers. RELAX, relax. It's going to be okay. Stop worrying about the Brooklyn Nets. They are just fine. We've seen this movie too many times in sports and the NBA. Multiple occasions I can relate to. LeBron James being a part of that multiple times. Is Kevin Durant and LeBron? Absolutely not. There's never been a day in his life he's better than LeBron. I don't think that day is going to come anytime soon. But with that being said, we could look at the 2010-2011 villain Miami Heat. They started 8-7. People panicked. LeBron said Rome was not built in a day. They figured it out. Obviously, they had the meltdown. Long story short, they ended up winning back-to-back titles. LeBron's team in 2014-2015, when he joined Kyrie Irving in Cleveland, they started 8-7. The media said LeBron's done with his title days. He just wanted to go home and chill out in Cleveland. People tried to make that narrative. And then when Kyrie left him high and dry, there was a time in the 2017-18 stretch where in the month of January, LeBron had the lowest box score plus minus of his entire career. The team hated each other. They had awful chemistry. People were questioning if the Cavs were going to make the damn playoffs, and they ended up going to the finals. Kevin Durant is a bad dude. He's regarded as a cheat code in your words, and I could totally agree with that. He's a special, special talent and absolutely the second best player in the league. I don't think that spot is up for debate whatsoever. The Brooklyn Nets, with a new coach, with new stars entering, are going to start slow. This is totally normal, as I predicted, as I expected, and yes, I'm keeping the same energy with this team. Everyone who's a casual, who hasn't been following the league that long, is going to freak out. They're going to panic that, oh God, the Nets don't have a playoff spot right now, 11 games in. Are they going to make the playoffs? Are they going to be a bottom seed team? They're going to have an early round exit. Maybe the Bucks or the Heat or the Celtics or one of those teams are going to beat them. Stop the nonsense. Stop it right now, because you're just going to embarrass yourself. And when it comes to June or July, whenever the hell the finals is, you're going to look like an idiot. So with that being said, they are just fine. Do I respect Kyrie Irving's actions to just go missing? No, I don't, because this is a job. He's on a contract that he's getting paid $141 million, I believe, in 4 years, if I remember that correctly. With that being said, your job, you're getting paid to show up to work and ball out. Unless it's something family related that is more serious, that is one thing. But I remember Brett Favre, when he lost his father, he came out on a Monday Night Football game and dropped 4 touchdowns in a victory at a phenomenal game. I'm all for NBA players having luxury in terms of the players' power, moving free agency, recruiting players. I'm all for that. But when you think you could just go missing in action and just not show up to work, that I have no tolerance for. This is going to be a struggle going throughout the year in the regular season. Steve Nash is still figuring out his rotation, which I don't like at all right now, but I believe he will figure it out. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are types of players where they're going to be the ones hiring the coaches. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving hired Steve Nash. If you don't think that, you are a rookie to this sport, following this sport. I believe they got to figure out the rotations, because I don't like how KD and Kyrie are basically playing every minute, every second rather, alongside each other. I like what the Lakers do a lot better, having LeBron and AD in the game. Whether not that's both of them, but one of the two or both are in the game for all 48 minutes. I think the Nets got to do something like that. They have to figure out their rotation. As they build chemistry, they're going to be a deadly team. And I stick with my take. They will get to the NBA Finals as long as they are healthy in 15 games or less. The NBA Finals, that's going to be a dogfight. I have picked the Nets. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hop off the bandwagon. It's going to be a dogfight of the series, and I really believe this will be the best finals that we've watched in our lifetime. Like, I genuinely believe that this is going to be the best finals we're going to watch in our lifetime in terms of how far this series can go and how competitive it's going to be. It's going to be a similar of an even matchup. I just believe that the Nets they match up really well against the Lakers. Not that their star power is better, because it's not. You know how big of a fan I am of AD. AD is my second favorite player in the league. So I'm not trying to say their star power is different. I think the role players of the Nets are better. I think matchup-wise, they look really good. But what Montrezl Harrell is doing and what Dennis Schroeder is doing is boosting this Lakers team a ton. This is going to be a fun season moving forward.
Yo, you are all over the place. You're all over the map. 1 minute you're in New York, the next minute you're in California, then you're in Florida, then you're in Texas. I need you to stick to one central point. First of all, you fixed your lips to steal what I always say, which is that there's never been a day in Kevin Durant's basketball life where he's been better than LeBron. So I'll give you credit for that. Good job. You saw the writing on the wall. You listen to people that are older than you, that are more experienced than you, and you agree with me. So I appreciate that. But with that being said, if the disparity between KD and LeBron is as big as you say it is, and LeBron's effect on teams is greater than what Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving have proven to be, then why in the hell would you fix your lips to say that the Brooklyn Nets are going to beat the Lakers in a 7-game series? It is preposterous. Could you explain to me, please?
We've had this conversation numerous of times. I guess you have a mind span of a goldfish that goes in one ear out the other. They don't remember a lot of things quick. So I'll remind you again why I like this matchup. The Lakers' perimeter defense is not good at all. That's one of their biggest weaknesses, which Kyrie and KD, if you're going to ask me, they're probably the two best ISO scorers in the league. If you want to throw in James Harden there, that's fine. They have consensusly 2 of the top 3 ISO scorers in the league. Down the stretch, they have 2 guys they can rely on to give the ball to. And don't give me crap that they missed some shots late down the stretch. We've seen LeBron do that plenty of times, but they show up in the postseason. So I'm going to keep the same energy as I do with LeBron as I do with other guys. Guys are going to miss shots. They're going to miss good looks down the stretch. It happens. It's a part of sports. It's a part of basketball. They match up really well against them. The way Kyrie and KD score is on the perimeter with beating guys on the perimeter. That's how they're going to get their buckets. The thing with LeBron and AD is they want to get inside. What do the Nets have? They have rim protection in Jarrett Allen and DeAndre Jordan. That's a way to contain them and slow them down a little bit. Are you going to stop LeBron and AD? Of course not. They're going to get theirs. They'll find the way to get their numbers. Of course. But a way to slow them down a little bit is find a rim protector. If you remember LeBron's days in South Beach, which a lot of people may say that was his best days of his career. When they played the Pacers against Roy Hibbert, that was probably why the Pacers were able to push those games, 6 games and 7 games, because a rim protector could contain him and slow him down a little bit. And as LeBron gets older, he's not as athletic. He's found ways to still impact the game and be the best player in the league, which he still is today consensusly. But with rim protection there, I like their matchup, and I like the way the Nets shoot the 3-point ball more than I do the Los Angeles Lakers. But I still am my main thing is how fast the Nets are going to coast through the Eastern Conference, rather. I'm still believing that they will get through the East in 15 games or less, and this finals is going to be a dogfight. Am I rooting for the Nets? No, of course not, but I believe it's going to be epic, and I think both of us, we could definitely agree on we want to see a 7-game series. We want to see a dogfight between the 2 best players in the league.
So let me get this straight. You're concerned about the Lakers' perimeter defense, and the Lakers, I believe, are 8-3. So we're 11 games into the season. Not a real huge sample size, but nevertheless, remember, there's only 72 games this year. It's not the traditional 82-game season. So this season is going to go really fast because we're already down 10 games. So after 20 games, I would think that's an accurate sample size to start saying, okay, this team has a problem with this. This is what they need to work in as we move towards the second half of the season. So since it's only a 72-game season, that means the midway point would be 36 games. So we're 11 games into a 36-game midway point, which means we've about played a third of the games they're going to play before the midway point. The Lakers are top 10 in defense. They're 6th in the NBA currently. You know where your Brooklyn Nets are? They're 22nd. They're 22nd right now. And if you actually watch the games instead of living on teamrankings.com, which I just checked, shout out to them. Their website is phenomenal. If you actually watch the games, the Lakers actually have a commitment to defense. They actually compete on the defensive end. When Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, before Kyrie Irving went MIA, were together, they had no commitment to defense. Now, I understand you're going to say, well, they're still trying to figure out rotations. They're trying to figure out who's going to be in what spot. But defense is not necessarily about scheme all the time. It's about effort, okay? It is about effort. And if you watch Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and the Nets team, whether it's Karis LeVert or Spencer Dinwiddie, it is apparent. It is increasingly apparent that those 4 players in particular are interested in getting theirs on the offensive side of the ball. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's going to help them win a lot of games. But for you to sit up there and confidently and arrogantly and smugly, which I like it. I hate the shirt, but I like your confidence. For you to sit up there and say arrogantly and smugly that the Nets are going to cakewalk to the Eastern Conference Finals, even after this slow start, even after what you've seen from the Celtics and the Sixers, okay, or other teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, you're wrong. Not only are you going to be wrong on that front, but you're going to be wrong on your ultimate point, which is you picked the Brooklyn Nets to beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. The series is not going 7. If they play tomorrow, the series will be over in 5 games. It will be over in 5 games. It might go 6, but they're not even getting it there.
There's a reason why the finals is in July or August. I still don't know the date, to be quite honest with you. But no, I did not expect the Nets were going to have a hot start, and I expected them to have a slow start, which is exactly happening. So far, I'm on cue. Stop the nonsense. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this slander piece and you trying to be slick, because really you're not. And don't critique my shirt, because it's actually a very nice shirt. I get a lot of compliments on it. A lot of people have a lot of good things to say about it, so don't do that. That's number 1. Number 2, the Nets are just fine. Name me one team, which nobody could do. Everyone is up here telling me that I'm ridiculous for having this hot take of how fast the Nets will get for the Eastern Conference. I tell everybody, I say, name me one team that will push them 6 or 7 games or beat them. I'm still waiting. I've not heard anyone give me a team. I've not heard anyone give me a legitimate argument. If you say the Bucks, I'm going to destroy that argument and debunk it faster than you can blink. So do you. The floor is yours.
I can name you 3. You just name one of them, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Boston Celtics. Like, look, I think you need to understand that in our lifetime, in terms of the actual NBA playoffs, outside of a team featuring LeBron, who you and I both acknowledge is the greatest player of all time, outside of a team featuring him or the 2017 version of the Golden State Warriors, nobody's just cakewalking through the playoffs. Like, nobody's pulling up and cakewalking through the playoffs. Kevin Durant, as great as he is not LeBron James, period, point blank. Kevin Durant featuring Kyrie Irving in this Nets roster are not the Golden State Warriors, period, point blank. You need to stop sleeping on the other Eastern Conference teams, to include the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Sixers, because the Brooklyn Nets have this, according to you, they have this thing where they can just get out of bed and just go play basketball. There's only been 2 teams in my lifetime that have been able to do that. The 2017 Golden State Warriors featuring 2 MVP-level players, not 1, 2 MVP-level players in Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, and the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe featuring 2 MVP-level players in the early 2000s. In addition to that, the pieces surrounding both of those teams were phenomenal. The Brooklyn Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie, we don't know if he's going to be back in time for the playoffs. Kyrie Irving, you can't even tell me where he's at right now. You know where I know LeBron is? LeBron has a game tonight against the Houston Rockets, so he's in Houston. I can definitively tell you where LeBron is. I can tell you where Anthony Davis is. You can't tell me where one of your key pieces is to the Brooklyn Nets winning the championship is at this very moment in time and history, which is 2:44 Eastern time on January 12th, 2021. So with that, I understand that the finals is months away, but again, it doesn't matter. Even if I grant you the premise that the Nets are going to cakewalk through the playoffs, which they're not beating the Los Angeles Lakers. And you know that in your heart of hearts, but you are going to die on this hill, and I can't wait for it to happen. But they're not beating the Nets. Excuse me, the Lakers, the Nets are not beating the Lakers.
The fact that you think the Bucks are going to compete in the Eastern Conference is honestly, it's funny to me. There's no logic behind that argument. When is Giannis all of a sudden going to flip a switch and be like, oh, okay, he's going to be a closer now. He's going to get you a bucket. Name me one guy you could trust down the stretch to close out a ball game on that team.